Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse. We've got lots of things going on here this weekend. Plus, it is an exciting time of the year because spring migration has definitely started. We've been seeing all kinds of cool and different birds, hearing reports about fun and interesting and different birds. So I've got an update for you guys today of some of the different things that have been seen in the upstate New York area, which is we've got kind of a diverse amount of types of birds, which is really exciting. As always, we love to know what kind of things you're seeing. You can put your comments or your sightings in the comments. If you've got questions, you can throw those in there too. And you can always just say hi. So, of course, we want to know if you've seen anything like orioles. Hummingbirds, it's still probably a little bit early, but probably next week at this time, we will have gotten reports of at least one hummingbird in the area, I'm sure. So we'd love to know where you are and what kind of things you're seeing out there. So throw those in the comments as well. But let's get started. First of all, if you are in the area, if you're in the Rochester area or upstate area, we do have our very popular jigsaw puzzle swap going on this whole weekend, Friday or Saturday and Sunday. So today being Saturday, we have it going on from 10 till 6. So it's the whole day. And tomorrow it will be going from 10 till 5. So we've got that going all weekend long during our business hours. As part of the puzzle swap weekends, we've been featuring one brand per month and we've been putting those on sale. This month, the puzzle brand is Cobble Hill Puzzles. So all of our Cobble Hill puzzles are 20% off all weekend long for the puzzle swap. So if you're familiar with those, we've got those on sale all weekend long. So come in and save 20% off on Cobble Hill Puzzles this weekend as well. We also have our very, very popular event going on today, our Feeder Cleaning Day event. And it's really been going on all week long. People have been dropping off their bird feeders since Monday. And we take them in, we label everything, we take them all apart, we clean them, and then we call you when they're done. So that is a very, very popular event. We are accepting feeders in today as well until 3 p.m. So if you've got feeders that need to be cleaned, bring them in. We'll take care of you and we'll call you when they're done. Last time we did this, we got about 600. So we're not sure what to expect today, but absolutely bring them in and we'll take care of you. And then also, if you are in the Western New York area, it is the Bird of Prey Days event going on this weekend. And that's out at Braddock Bay Park. If you're familiar with the Rochester Hawk Watch that's out there, it's right in that area. It's in the building that's out there in Braddock Bay Park. They have speakers, they'll have live birds of prey, there's vendors there. So it's a really fun event. They have all the information on their website. If you check out the Braddock Bay Raptor Research website, you can find a whole list of events that are going on all weekend long. So there's things for all ages all weekend. So definitely something to check out if you're interested in birds and bird watching. It's Bird of Prey Days event. So Orioles. Okay, as far as the Orioles update goes, we haven't gotten the big push of them yet. We've had several people say they've seen or heard them, but it seems like they've kind of come, the people who have seen them, they saw them briefly, and then they've kind of gone on their way. So we haven't had that big push yet, but any day now, we will start to get the reports of where they are everywhere. So absolutely put your feeders out, make sure they're full of jelly, and any day now we'll get those reports of the Orioles really flowing in. And we'll let you know as soon as that happens. We will keep you posted on that. So any moment now, we will start to hear the big reports of the Orioles coming. Just to kind of give you an idea of where the Orioles are, this is the map that I pulled from last week. So a week ago today, this was the sightings of Orioles. So you can see they're kind of scattered around going up the East Coast. So that was exactly a week ago today. Today, to kind of show you the difference, still going up the East Coast, but in much, much larger numbers. So they're kind of going up the East Coast and then going west inland. And you can see there are some reports in Rochester, there's some reports in Buffalo, and the concentrations of them coming up the coast are getting bigger. So they're definitely on their way. There's been some more movement in the past week. So any day now is when they're really going to start to flow in. And these are the pictures that I shared last week, because we did have some people who shared some photos of the Orioles they had gotten in already a week ago. So there were some sighted in the area. So keep an eye out in your backyards. And absolutely, if you see any, snap a picture and send them in. We have all the jelly you could ever want here at the store. We've got 3 different types now. We've got the birdberry jelly, which is in an easy to use squeeze bottle, which has always been very popular. And now we also have bird jelly in glass jars. We've got a grape jelly version and then a mixed berry version. So now we've got 3 different types of jelly, and we've got plenty of it in stock. So stop in to get everything you need for the Orioles. We also have their nectar. We've got the nectar concentrates, and we have the very easy, ready to use liquid nectar, which is all citrus infused. And the Orioles really, really like that. So stop on in. We've got all the food you could possibly want for the Orioles. And then hummingbirds will be, after we start to get that big push of Orioles, is usually when we start to hear about the hummingbirds coming in. Usually it's around May 5th or so, 4th, 5th, that we get the first reports of them in the area. And then around Mother's Day, so around, the 12th, 13th or so of May is when they're really coming in larger numbers. So this was the map I pulled last week, a week ago today, of where the hummingbirds have been spotted. So kind of like the Orioles, same idea, kind of going up the East Coast. And now they are still going up the East Coast, but in larger numbers, and they've been seen more inland down south. So they're making their way back up here. But you can see there haven't been any reports yet in Rochester. Doesn't look like there's been any reports in Buffalo or anything like that. So still have a little bit of time to get your Oriole feeders already. But that being said, we do have all the nectar. We've got the ready to use nectar. We've got the concentrates, and we also have the nectar defender, which is the little bottles of liquid. You can add a little bit of that to your nectar to keep your nectar fresh longer than just a couple of days. So that's always very, very popular. And we've got all of that in stock. It is mason bee time. Mason bees are starting to emerge, so make sure you've got your houses out. If you're trying to attract mason bees, now is absolutely the time to make sure that you've got your mason bee house out, because they're only around for 6 or 8 weeks or so. They're not out for a very extended amount of time. So you'll know your mason bee houses are in use when, first of all, you'll be able to see them buzzing around it. But then as the females go in and they lay their eggs, they will cap those chambers off with mud. So you'll start to see those tunnels capped off with mud as the weeks go on. We did a bird walk this week through the birdhouse. That was on Thursday morning up in Washington Grove at Cobbs Hill Park. And we did see some pretty neat birds, so I thought I'd give you an update about that. These aren't photos from the walk, but these are photos of the birds we saw on the walk. I know a few of you guys that were on the walk were taking photos. We did see eastern phoebe, so we saw this kind of flycatcher. We had a really good glimpse of that in the middle of the woods. We saw different types of woodpecker. We saw red-bellied woodpecker, flickers, downy woodpeckers, hairy woodpeckers. At the end of the walk, we even saw a pileated woodpecker. And then we also saw yellow-bellied sapsucker. So at first we thought it was a downy woodpecker, and getting a closer look, we saw, nope, it is in fact a yellow-bellied sapsucker, which is a migratory type of woodpecker. And they're definitely more speckly than your typical, say, downy woodpecker or hairy woodpecker. As far as size goes, they're kind of in between those two as far as size, but they're thinner than the hairy woodpecker tends to be kind of a chunkier bird, and yellow-bellied sapsuckers are pretty slim. So we were able to get, a few of us were able to get a good glimpse at the yellow-bellied sapsucker, which does, if you get a decent look at it, have a yellowish wash that goes over its belly. And this is a picture of a female, and this is a picture that was sent in by Mark, who always sends in a lot of photos here for the broadcast. This is a female yellow-bellied sapsucker. If it was a male, it would also have a red throat as far as the red on the top of its head. So migratory woodpecker that is around in the area. This is what the male looks like with that red patch on its throat. And you can tell if you have yellow-bellied sapsuckers in the area or if you've had them historically, because they don't leave large holes in trees like, say, a downy woodpecker does, or a pileated woodpecker will, but they leave these lines of small holes where they'll peck little holes in the trees. And the idea is, as the sap runs through the tree, they'll be able to get the sap out of these little holes. Plus, that running sap also attracts insects, which they'll pick out of the trees as well. So if you've got these little holes that go in almost straight lines in your trees, those are from a yellow-bellied sapsucker. We also saw there were a lot of thrush out on Thursday. We saw some hermit thrush. We also saw and heard blue-headed vireo, which was really cool. Haven't seen those in a bit. Personally, I haven't. And then there were a ton of yellow-rumped warblers all over the woods, which was really, really cool. We must have seen a dozen of them or more. So a lot of people hadn't seen the yellow-rumped warbler before, so that was really exciting. So yellow-rumped warbler are really one of the first warblers to migrate into the area. So there were plenty of them out there at Washington Grove, out at Cobbs Hill earlier this week. And basically, if you were to go out to any park around here, or probably wherever you are, if you're in the US right now, you'll see some yellow-rumped warbler. So lots of them were out. As far as nesting goes, it's bluebird nesting time. Bluebirds are super active right now with their nest sites. So if you're trying to attract bluebirds, they will have 2 to 3 broods a year in this area. So you didn't miss the boat on it, but you definitely want to get your houses out soon so they can take advantage of them when they do go to have their second or third brood. Or if they're just a little bit late, they might use those houses right at this moment as well. So they are cavity nesters. They will nest in bluebird boxes. And last week we shared this photo here of that Bob sent in of the first egg that was laid from his bluebirds. We've gotten other customers coming into the store showing off their photos of bluebird eggs, and a lot of them have up to 5 right now. The birds will lay 1 egg every day until the clutch is complete. And usually that clutch is anywhere between 3 and 5 eggs as far as bluebirds go. And then the female will incubate them for a couple of weeks, and out will pop the young. And she'll feed them lots of insects for a couple of weeks, and then they'll be out of the nest. I should also mention we do have the live mealworms in stock now too. If you're trying to entice some bluebirds to your backyard, we absolutely have those back in stock. On the broadcast Tuesday, Michelle was on and said, our bluebirds have pink eggs. And she actually came into the store and shared her photos of the eggs that her bluebirds have laid. And usually, like this picture Bob sent in, bluebirds have the bright blue eggs. But Michelle sent in these photos that, yeah, absolutely, her bluebirds have laid a light kind of pinkish colored egg, and she said she did some research on it. It turns out this can happen. There can be color abnormalities with eggs here and there. So really interesting kind of thing. You never know what you'll see when you open up those birdhouses. As far as migrants go, if you've got your safflower seed out to attract cardinals and keep those grackles and starlings away, be on the lookout for rose-breasted grosbeaks. We'll be hearing reports about them coming back any day now as well. They're another migratory songbird that people get in their backyards, and they'll come to the same types of feeders as the cardinals do. They're in the same family as cardinals, and so if you've got good luck with attracting cardinals to your yard, just keep it up with whatever feeder and seed that you're feeding them, and you might just see some rose-breasted grosbeaks coming through. Really, really cool bird there. Eastern towhee, some people are reporting those. Here's a photo of an eastern towhee that was underneath Mary Lynn's feeders earlier in the month. And then red-winged blackbirds. There's been lots of red-winged blackbirds around. Probably you're familiar with the males who are black with the bright red and yellow wings, and then the females are quite interesting looking too. They almost look like a giant sparrow sometimes, but they'll come to feeders. They've got kind of an orangish, yellowish color on their face. They're really, really stripy, but this is what the female looks like. So she looks quite a bit different than the male. So you might see them at your feeders as well. Mark sent in some other photos during his birding over the past couple of weeks, so I thought I'd share some of those photos with you too. Brown creeper, we've heard lots of reports of brown creeper in the woods and also in backyards. I had one in my backyard a couple of weeks ago, just climbing up one of my trees. If you're familiar with nuthatches, which you probably are, they tend to climb down trees, and brown creepers will creep up the tree until they get to the top, and then they'll dive down towards the base and creep all the way back up. I love this photo that he was able to get. It looks like the brown creeper is just diving down towards the base of the tree. So really cool photo there of a brown creeper. Really neat moment that he was able to get. This is a neat series. Now, this is from March 29th, so this is about a month ago. These photos are from Cayuga Lake State Park, but this is a red-headed woodpecker. So Mark was lucky enough to catch a glimpse of one of those. We are really lucky to have red-bellied woodpeckers that are very common in the area, that have a bunch of red on the back of their head, and they do have a little bit of a red tinge on their belly, which isn't always very noticeable. So some people call them red-headed woodpeckers, but they're actually called red-bellied woodpeckers. Now, this is a red-headed woodpecker. They're not nearly as common as the red-bellied woodpeckers, but you can see they have that bright, fully red head. Really cool sighting. They're not very common at all, and their populations are decreasing quite alarmingly. So it's really, really neat to see a red-headed woodpecker. Usually around the lake, people can catch a glimpse of them here and there. So they're around. If you're lucky enough to catch a glimpse of one, if you're persistent, you can find them, but not a very common sight. So really cool photos there of a red-headed woodpecker. Another bird that will migrate through is, we talk about the different types of blackbirds, the red-winged blackbirds, cowbirds and grackles. Even orioles are a type of blackbird, and meadowlarks are a blackbird. But there's also what's called a rusty blackbird, and this is a photo that Mark took, I believe, at Tinker Nature Park, of a rusty blackbird. It almost reminds me of a grackle with that really piercing eye, but it doesn't nearly have as long of a tail. So rusty blackbirds are out there, and you can almost kind of see the rust color on the wings there, on the back, on the feathers. So really cool photo there sent in by Mark of a rusty blackbird. Again, not something you see every day. There was an eastern whippoorwill spotted in Owl Woods recently. It was heard. Their call sounds like they're saying whippoorwill, and so that was a pretty neat report. This is a kind of a nightjar is what they're called. This is a nocturnal bird. They are found in the woods, and they camouflage super, super well. So you could probably walk right past one and have no idea until it got flushed. Another neat sighting that was in the area this past week was an American avocet, which is this type of water bird. Really not seen very commonly at all in the state, but they are seen more in the south and out west. But one of these was seen on Martin Road, which is a road off of the Lake Ontario Parkway, in a field. So this isn't a picture of the avocet that was seen in the area, but this is what they look like. So one of these was spotted, I believe the last day it was reported was the 22nd, I want to say, but who knows, it might pop up somewhere else in the area. So you never know what you'll see when you go out there. As far as shorebirds go, killdeer are back. There's lots of killdeer out there. American woodcock, people are still reporting those. And this is another bird that camouflages super well, so you might walk right up on it and have no idea. This is a bird you can find in the woods, or you can find them in fields, especially if there's woods nearby. So thank you guys for watching. If you are in the Rochester area, like I said, we've got a lot of things going on today. We've got the bird feeder cleaning today, which is Saturday until 3 p.m. We've got the jigsaw puzzle swap going all weekend long. And we do have locally the Birds of Prey event, Bird of Prey Days out at Braddock's Bay. So lots of fun stuff going on in the area this weekend. Bob is on. He says, no Orioles yet for me. Bluebirds laid a total of 5 eggs. So Mama Bluebird is incubating full time. So that's exciting. Yeah. That's the max it seems that the bluebirds will lay is 5 eggs. So that's really exciting. In general, the older and more mature the bird is, the female is, the more eggs she'll lay and the more brood she'll have. So really exciting that there's 5 eggs being incubated right now. Sue is on and said, pileated woodpecker this morning on my tree and suet feeder. I think I have black-capped chickadee nest in my bluebird house. You just might. If you open it up and there's a nest that's made with a lot of moss, then you've got yourself a chickadee. We've heard reports of lots of chickadees checking out nest boxes as well. So really fun time of the year. Keep an eye out on your birdhouses because they're definitely starting to nest. Lots of new things are starting to flow in. It seems like every day we're hearing reports of new and different birds coming in. We will keep you up to date with what those are and when they're coming in. And we'll be back on Tuesday with another broadcast. And until then, have a great week, great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.